And I think, Francis, previously, the point that you were making previously was actually, you're also making the point of what the benefits are in
Yes.
outsourcing. I think you were talking about scalability, because instead of, and we'll start diving into the benefits of doing outsourcing, right? So instead of, having to commit to all the government mandated benefits wherever you are, because they're now your in-house employees, with outsourcing, you don't actually have to think about that. It's more of a partnering with an agency or partnering with the freelancers, and they would take care of the government or the employee,
Yes.
excuse me, yeah, benefits on their side of the world or on their side of the state, depending on where you're outsourcing. What else are so cost efficiency as well? So that also comes with cost efficiency, because now if they were an employee, you might have to give them a device. It may also even doing the hiring costs something, right? So
Mhm.
if you were to hire everyone in house, you would have to have your HR. You have to do
You'll
your
have to
job
engage
post,
a
and
lot
then
of people. You'll have to engage a lot of
yeah,
departments simultaneously. So it's not
exactly.
about, I mean, it would be great if you have great networks and say, can you recommend somebody to me? But if you're
Mm,
at a point in your business where you have to engage HR, and you know that becomes that there is additional cost. Like I said, if you're
mm-hmm,
engaging different departments, it's your overhead that's moving for you. So sometimes these costs can add up, not to mention the time involved, and then not to
mm-hmm,
mention another aspect, which is scalability.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes you want to be able to say, uh I got a big opportunity, like if you're uh if for example in need of writers, for example. Usually I find
Mm-hmm.
writers are the ones that have immediate needs for scalability, right? Like um I suddenly need to write a whole book, for example, and therefore I need to engage a team of 10 writers. You don't
Okay.
need to employ 10 writers all the time, but it where do you immediately get people who can say, like, I need people to churn out words? I need
True, not words. Yeah, but yeah, I get what you mean. I think
yes.
in our experience, what our clients would ask for is, okay, Christmas season, we're going to get more customer inquiries, like it's giving season, right? Like
Yeah.
more
Peak
inquiries about
season
the products, and
inquiries.
yeah, so peak season, right? And sometimes that volume only happens during those months. So you
Yep.
don't want to be hiring more people to service your customers, and then not know what to do with them after the peak season ends.
Exactly.
So doing outsourcing, that also affords you like scalability that way, have being able to flex some resources in when you need it.
Exactly. It's and that's the beauty of that kind of uh ease as well.
Mm,
Uh Again, for example, if you're even let's talk about, even for outsourcing agencies, you suddenly land a client that says, I need 100 people, and that's
mm-hmm,
beyond the capacity of your HR and recruitment team to handle. Then for the efforts of scalability, are you able to partner with a hiring firm which provides
mm,
hiring solutions? That's exactly how you need that kind of scalability without saying, okay, let's hire HR people first. Diba? Those are things that you should have done yesterday for that job. But that's the
yeah,
reason, that's the reason why businesses like ours exist. It's supposed to help with immediate expansion, or even
mm-hmm,
if, for example, God forbid, when you say uh during COVID times, it wasn't that hard for a lot of companies to let go of outsourced resources, because that's the nature of the business. You can protect
mm-hmm.
your interest by saying, okay, we need to cut off this relationship in at least 30 days from now, without suffering long-term consequences. There's a bad side to it, or at some point, but That's the reason why it exists. So anyway, the other thing I would
I,
think of, um, the other thing I would think of, immediate access to, immediate access to expertise. You don't have to
yeah.
train somebody from the beginning.
So in terms of access and expertise, we're not just saying here. I think what we're actually saying here is that if you're partnering with an agency, right, with an outsourcing agency, and they've done customer support before, they already know what KPIs to look at. They already know how to measure them. They probably already know
They probably have the
what
whole
business log
spiel
or okay,
already.
yeah, the whole
They
spiel
have the whole
already. What
template.
works,
They're
what
just
doesn't.
waiting for the company name.
Yeah, and even like the ecosystem of customer support. So what do I
Like,
mean by that? If you have limited budget and but you want to tackle as many customers at one time, your outsourcing your partner agency can probably tell you what
let's
to
do
focus
chat.
on. Should you focus on email? Let's do chat. Should we do phone? And it's probably going to be chat at that point because you can service multiple customers at the same time and it's more real time. But even then, even like what tools to use, what's the best one, and how to measure all of these, if you are partnering with an outsourcing agency like that, they would be able to guide you, right?
Yes.
You're taking out the guesswork because you're already working with an agency that already does these things, or already knows the entire bit of it.
Yeah, they've gone through what you're about to go through. So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
even, that's probably that's probably a great benefit in my case, to talk to somebody. Like, I've never encountered even a risk, but they would say, "Oh, but we've been through that and back
yeah.
several times already, and we can tell you this is what's gonna." You get free advice, for crying out loud. I wouldn't say free advice. You're just getting what your money's worth, to
And I
to
think
be honest.
yes, your money's worth. I think one effect of that is now you can execute faster because instead of thinking of okay, so how do we set this up, right? Like how which tool should we use, which what system or what process should we have in here, and instead of thinking all of those things, if you partner with an agency or someone who specializes on that side, like whether it's content creation or customer support, all you have to do is, of course, you would have to teach them your product, your service, those crucial things, so that you guys can partner together. But everything else, they already know what to do. So it's faster execution. Now it's more thinking about the strategy and the alignment between the agency and you as a startup.
No, totally. Uh, what else? I feel like there's just so many things to discuss when it comes to why you
The
should
benefits, yeah,
why you should.
yeah,
We're talking global talent pool.
yeah.
uh
You're not now. You don't have to do a job post and like just targeting people around your area because they all have to go in the office. I think the pandemic really proved that you can do hybrid
you
or you can
can
do
do
remote work.
hybrid. Talent is
Mm,
really global. Thank you, pandemic.
yes. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far, but
No, but
yeah, you're
the
not.
reality is the pandemic shook up the world. It
Yeah, it did.
whereas before, I mean, outsourcing wasn't a huge secret. Outsourcing wasn't a huge
No, it wasn't.
secret. Several of, I mean, I think every Fortune 500 company has an outsourced arm, but the pandemic shook it up in such a way that you're an in-house resource, right? And all of a sudden you realize that my company doesn't need me in the office. I can move away from this city, go back
Yeah.
home to either my province, or move back to a place where the costs are one third of my original living cost. So now I'm taking in
Mm-hmm.
much more money and I have so much more space, and my talent is appreciated. Like, I didn't have to move into the city, right? So, the city got
Yeah.
a bit of breathing room. And then a lot of companies realize that, hey, look, the talent that I hired, and this is probably one of the other things now, the talent that I hired that cost this much because he lives in the city, that I needed him to be in the city because we needed him to come to the office. I can now hire the same talent because this person that I'm hiring now lives a forever and away now, and I'm still paying that same amount of talent. I can pay for the same talent for somebody whose cost of living is a lot less. So people are
Yes.
learning their own lessons. People are learning their own lessons from that. But the point is, after all that, is that talent is global.
Yes.
That talent is global. Like, you didn't have to be somewhere anywhere. The only other thing that's stopping people is, for companies who need to have entities in certain countries in order to
Oh
operate.
yeah, some policies. Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, there are other, again, that's why outsourcing, or being employer on record. So, what does this give you at the very least? The last example I would give, if you are a startup and you are the developer, if you are the designer, if
Mm-hmm.
you are the person who runs the brand, um,
Mm-hmm.
you need time to innovate and bring your business to the next level, right? You need to, in order to
Yes.
stay top of yourself in your industry, whether you're and let's talk about the width and breadth of businesses that can take advantage of outsourcing. If you are a baker, right? Which means you have to continually bake and create and make
Mm-hmm.
goods, right? And that means you have to focus on the baking and the techniques and making prettier cakes, right? Which means you
Mm-hmm.
now have no time, zero time, that, in as important as social media is and content creation is and
Mm-hmm.
marketing is, you'd rather get the people who knows how to do their stuff, and you focus on the one thing that you cannot outsource, which is your talent, right?
Yes.
Right? If
Yes, your
you're
unique advantage, as
Yes,
I think, as the term is,
especially if you're, if
what you know you
especially
can
if you're
bring.
the yeah especially if you're the brand, right? Like, if you're a
Exactly.
bodybuilder, you can't get somebody to put on a mask and dip and pretend to be, pretend to have
You can't
your
get someone to carry the weights for you,
yeah.
and
I
you
want to
still
do the email
you're just
assistant. You do the
Wait, yeah, I mean, that's true. So in terms of like competitive advantage, right? Like, for example, some of the startups that we've worked with, I think they were once the developers, but then again, yes, you're the developer, right? But you are also the CEO. So there's a lot of other things that you need to focus on, whether it's partnering with other, partnering with other companies to grow your company, or sourcing talents, or sourcing resources for your software development. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
I think Slack outsourced their software development.
Yes,
Was it?
yes, yes. Slack initially, that was an example we wanted to use. Slack did in fact
Mhm.
outsource the development arm, which means
And
they,
their
yeah,
UI. Yeah.
and their UI.
Yes.
And
Even
now it's one of the
WhatsApp,
most
I think.
beloved UI everywhere.
Actually, yes. I think even WhatsApp outsourced their software development to Eastern European developers. So even if you started like a developer, and you started that idea, and you started the actual product, but then you have to move on to other things to be able to bring your business up to the next level as the
True.
CEO,
Agree.
you can still delegate the software development. Sorry, excuse me. You can still delegate the software development, but if you still want to be involved in it, you can still head it, right? It's just that
You
you're
realize
not
how
as
time
involved day in day out.
consuming, yeah, how
Yeah.
time consuming development is. I don't think that it
Mm-hmm.
will leave you a lot of time. I mean, you can probably, from a technology offer chief technology perspective, give
Mm-hmm.
marching orders, but have you seen a developer actually work? No, they you put, like, they're like clay pots. You put them inside a brick wall and leave them,
Mm-hmm.
and they come out with enlightenment. They come out as Buddha. Like, here's the product. Develop. No, if you want to see them work, they, any sort of interruption is not good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but but I just wanted to add something there because I've been thinking about
Mhm.
your chief everything officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's the COO? You probably know that one too.
Child of owner.
Yeah.
All these acronyms.
Yeah,
Well,
that's so funny. So, yeah, but I'm the CEO of our company. Like, oh wow, chief operating. No, no, child of owner.